Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today, we're playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode, while I suspect we're going to finish Case 5, the case of the Hound of the Baskervilles, because there's so many lies that have been told and so many lies that we have unraveled. What else left is there to tell? Let's go ahead and hop in and see what further lies we're going to have to straighten out. The moment of the shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still sitting near the entrance to the shop. When the Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Really? That's the story you're gonna spin? Good gracious, this is quite extraordinary testimony. Yeah, it's like a pile of crap is what it is. Look at that smug smile. Anyone else want to just punch him right in the kisser? You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger? This is not going to go well for you, sir. Order! 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 It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither is my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. So you're just gonna lie, is that what you're saying? But you did commit the murder. So you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation. What? Why would you not start with the truth? The truth. Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood, was she now? You say the blood splattered over the accused's coat. Are you sure on that point? Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. I'm pretty sure we have a picture that says otherwise. Really? If her coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. We can use the device let's use see if we can use the device on the coat to reveal blood splatter. Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's to true science, and not some amateurish detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound. Ideas are no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. She wants to punch him in the face. In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used. With your lordship's permission, we could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. This doesn't look good, Bruno. Why not? Well, we know, don't we, that there's blood all over the front of Jenny's coat. If they test it with their chemicals... Oh, help, you're right. I was forgetting what happened yesterday. Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot. And there was blood. What color was it? It was purple. But that's not Mr. Windibank's blood. That stain is from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood from when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. So we have to somehow get our evidence admitted. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. Overruled. Lord Van Zieks, make it so at once. Oh boy. With pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Once they find that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be... Counsel! Yes, my lord. Your cross-examination? Of course, my lord. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Oh man, so this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. We gotta break him somehow. The moment of the shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. Mr. Windibank emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been so scared in all my life. Yeah, we were just your regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1, so I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong. I was trying to help me little bro, but the old geezer chucked me over the blooming counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fellow, and that soon made him scarper. The pair of you setting upon the poor defenseless pawnbroker together? Shame on you! Sorry, Gov. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. From what? You mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was at exactly that moment it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar in the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Windibank intend to shoot you, do you think? Oh, well, now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled me gun on him, he tried to shove me out the way. And then he scampered through the door out back. At which point, what did you do? I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see through the peephole in the door, though. I didn't think that peephole opened. You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. And what about this peephole in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door is a solid job, made of stout wood. Okay. But there's a small opening in it about the head height that lets you see what's in there from the outside. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. But is it covered with glass or is it just open? And what about you burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through the peephole as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't say nothing of the sort, Gov. I doubt these two buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windibank take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then, what did you see next? The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Windibank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you. But no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windibank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely, a third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time. But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first, I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then, all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. I love his dramatics. He's just like, pose for the dramatic. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. I'm very confused how you could see all of this through the little peephole, but you know. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. What's your feeling, Runo? As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony at the moment. But you have to find a way to break this man. And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing... It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood splatter over Ginny's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen. But we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank, so what's going on? All I know is that it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't? Detectives can use test tubes too. Never mind that. I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. And I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Did you now? All over her? Yes, through the peephole I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being such a dark color. But I assure you, the garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windibank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from when McGill stabbed him 2 months ago. I wonder if we can present that evidence to him, even though it's not accepted as evidence. I don't know. It's so annoying. If only they'd accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we could prove that. But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Bother. And then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. But why would she do that? That makes no sense. Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room? That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over where exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door. That's where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door. But why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there, in case any more tragedies took place. Makes no sense whatsoever. So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime? Do you have the third gun? Yes, it was yours truly. I left the clear up to my lackeys and left. Clear up? We'd made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute Air told us to tidy up. He thinks our bloomin' mum sometimes. He thinks he's our bloomin' mum sometimes. Well, I was paying you enough, by God. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? You're like a bull at a gate, aren't you? Oh boy, let's see. What's going on? Hello? Ha 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 ha. Something wrong, sunshine? That should be my line? You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin. Blimey, this D is a bit of a hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? You saw him? He grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes, he said, didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down the station? And why didn't you? Course, we didn't know nothing about it, or that flaming peephole in the door. Sorry about that. I could be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are ya? God blimey, see the way it is looking at me? I'm telling ya, this D gives me the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. Now he's back to his chips. My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. I have the results of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, the blood on the accused overcoat. Hey, Toad, welcome in. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. We know what he's gonna find. Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the results of spattering following a gunshot wound. End of report. Goodness me! Yeah, but it says traces, not like copious amounts. See, what did I tell you? No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Windibank's. What on earth makes you say that, Counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case. Well, the dead cannot speak, isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Sorry? 2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for McGilded's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer? Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country. But that was... I call it a bally disgrace. Treachery, that's what it is. How to determine whether the blood on the coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't help the answer to that problem pop out. It can't be done. But we use Mr. Sholmes' specially formulated chemicals. Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist. Would you put such faith in a chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I am a communications officer? I held out Peroxide to starving boy, and he ran away crying. What does that have to do with anything? Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no more weight in this courtroom, or carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all. How could you say that? A victory is sweet indeed. This proves my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish. How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. Ugh. My lord. Been a long battle, this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman. As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now. They're all gonna be guilty. Sir! Of course. Man. It's just going back and forth. Well, it would appear the ladies and the gentlemen have reached a unanimous verdict. He's just gonna enjoy his wine. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the jurors' decisions, being equally successful. Ugh. Do we have to poll the jury yet again? I don't believe it. After I've come so far. How is it all unraveling on me so fast? Alright. Do we get to question them again? Let's see. How very distressing. To be held in such low esteem. Who's saying this? Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruto? Officer, you've delivered the report now. That will be all, thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruto. The scientific truths are determined not by science. Oh, is it Sholmes in disguise? But by none other than the human mind. I know that voice. It's gonna be Sholmes in disguise, isn't it? Am I going mad? It is, isn't it? I knew it. I knew it. Mr. Sholmes! Well, what is the meaning of this? Order! 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 What business do you have here, Detective? The last I heard you were recuperating in hospital. As well I would be, had I not been set upon an errand. What errand? Hurley, it's really you! You're awake at last! Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humour me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time? What say you to this, Lord Van Zieks? He doesn't like it, but maybe he'll have to give in. This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long already. Exactly! Having spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Oh, the prize turn? Shocker? Very well then, counsel, you have your 5 minutes. Oh boy. My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now? Alright, I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me should I pass out. Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Ah, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community, an oversight on my part. Right? Modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender furoshiki wrapping? A leaving present from Miss Susato. From Miss Susato? If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. I don't understand. Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand, and that you, Mr. Naruto, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, would find yourself in considerable peril. And that at that very moment of our crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions. A leaving present from Susato-san? Whatever could it be? What is this? What is this? My question exactly? Oh, it's the machine I made. What? What machine? Cute kitty. Meow, cute kitty. Look, I used this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flap-o-mat. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. Oh, are we gonna make a peephole so we can prove what could be seen? What's Susie up to? I bet that's it. Mrs. Otto murdered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. What? Didn't she say something like that? You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. I wonder how come? Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night when you left Windibanks in pursuit of the thieves, Mrs. Otto made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. Oh, there was no peephole, there. She made the peephole. That is your answer, dear fellow. Not at all cryptic, then. Susada-san used this cat flapper-mat that night. But why? She made the peephole while we were chasing down the criminal. So there's no way Gina could have thrown the gun out. We need to check photos right now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is it, guys. This is the nail in the coffin. Yeah, you throw that wine in there. Your 5 minutes is over. We're out of time already? Oh boy. I'm grateful to you all for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it now? Is it really? That's what I'm thinking? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. Would it now? I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What's your plan? The rest is down to me. I need to be careful. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests... Let's look at the, Let's look at the court record first before we say what we want. Let's look at our pictures. Let's look at... There's no peephole. There is no peephole at all. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. This is awesome. Absolutely. Now there's a peephole between 1 and 1:30. So between the time that the event happened, the peephole was created. We got it. We got it. Okay, what do we need? Further cross-examination. Okay, further cross-examination. Further cross-examination. The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now. The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness, rather to continue with one of an existing witness. What? It's what appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. Yeah, I was wondering why there would be a peephole there. My lord. Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. Yeah, it wasn't ended, it was suspended. So nobody can say anything then. If Bruno asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. We got that. A single chance to present evidence? If following that the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further. My lord. Yes, my lord. We got him, though. A single statement and a single piece of evidence? Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruto, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. Uh-oh. I leave this in your capable hands. Thud. Mr. Sholmes. Now Iris is gonna be worried about him. We got him. We got him now. To stand so how do you pronounce that? I can't pronounce that word. Before the court in a state of such high fever. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? Yes. Yes, we are. We got it. Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. We got it. And I won't waste this final chance that Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then, under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Alright, final go-through. The moment of the shooting again. Oh, while these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole on the door, though. Now the question is, do we press this one? Or the one where she throws the gun through? Do we present this? What happens if we present this? Is this the right statement? What on earth is that eccentric contraption, counsel? Oh, it's my cat flap-o-mat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. Ugh. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I failed to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon, a peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place. That's right, according to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? Well, yes, how could you? What? Now, so kindly say what you mean. All right, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole to look through. What? No! This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? This is a most serious act of vandalism. For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Riddled with, explain yourself, counsel. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. Grr. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Ugh. He knows his lies are unraveling. He knows it. He feels the noose tightening. Order! 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 Is there any credence in this revelation? None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second. Haha, I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy, cooey, time for dinner. He could have cut the cat door in the courtroom door. Meow. Well? Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet. Don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windibank's was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was. Oh, really? No, but it's easy. What? The cat flaps my cat flap-o-mat creates are all of a fixed size, and the dimensions of the peephole at Windibanks are an exact match. Ugh. Hee, old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris, thank you. And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I don't think so. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose in this line of inquiry, Lord Van Zeeks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device, but now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. Ugh. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. Oh, but we can prove it. What? Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel. Don't give up now, Bruno. And this is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well, the counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Windibank's storeroom was created after the event and not before. That would be this one now. What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again? My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel. This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielded a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. There's no door. I don't believe it. This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. And you were told that if you perjured yourself, it was all over for you. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. And defeated. Order! 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 I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with a crime scene. But more importantly, Good Lord, there's more, Lord Van Zeeks. The defense may establish a reprehensible instance of perjury, but that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Are you kidding me? Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please, no. I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit. Except, yes, we do. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris, you know what they say. There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Bruno? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. She couldn't have thrown the gun out of a non-existent peephole. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there is a fundamental inconsistency in your statement. What? This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. He didn't know she was there. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witness's statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely, maybe it is the peephole. Because it didn't happen until afterwards, right? The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Now, let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously, Has the cat got your tongue, witness? The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. And once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. Place is chock full of pond articles, and my lads have thoroughly examined them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock in shifts so we get through it all. And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Unless you were told, maybe? Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable. And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is that possible? Can I have a word, please, Lord Van Zeeks? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you, permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. He's all about weeding out the corruption. Of course, sir. There's definitely something fishy going on here. Mr. Graydon, I think he told him. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else. Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes. But the defense believes the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, counsel? It's gotta be Gregson, right? Who gave the witness the details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? I mean, it's gotta be him. He's the one that was talking suspiciously to him, right? Right? The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Me? You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the facts that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learnt of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea, no inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position, that he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin? Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a bloomin' outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigations to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Have you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Yeah, and angrily stress eating that food. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the resource. Yes, but they were sitting here chit-chatting together, and we found that suspicious. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. But they did! Ugh. Oh, I've just remembered something, Bruno. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying. Exactly! Oh yes, now you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. Yeah, they were sitting there talking. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little toe rag, you're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke? Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. Is he in part of the selling secrets to the foreign countries? But perhaps I need regenerating food like he has. It was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, Counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. The second disc? I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. Oh boy, it's going to be the second disc, right? If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness? I mean, we don't have the second disc, so how are we going to prove it? The disc? Is it going to be this because it had a second disc in it? I don't know. We'll try it. We'll see. Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, is it not true you've been working on another very important case? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Hey, thanks for the follow, and Lauralan. Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? Oh, hey, Nis. Welcome in. Thanks for the follow. The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice. How the bleeding Nora, could you? We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded, a special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. Oh, thanks. Thanks for the welcome in, all that. Thanks for the sub. I appreciate you. Awesome. Thank you so much. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for the details of the case. You little... We got you now. Order, order, order! On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this. I'll be taking that, whatever it is, of McGilded's down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. But I mean, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony? There's no other way Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the people. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men. No! They've both been, like, judicially slapped across the face. If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? Of course, because he hasn't left the room. How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement on this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then, you mean to say? Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession. He has the second disc actually on his person. The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once. Definitely! They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Grexy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector? Are you gonna give it up? This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. Did you hand it off? However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious. Indeed, to have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook. You're just threatening Bruno because you're scared. The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, counsel, you know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord? Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? But we need to search someone else. But who? Because if he's so confident about him, he'd probably put it somewhere else. Who though? Yes, the defense formally demands the search to be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough, I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects, please. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now, what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector. Not you. Somebody else. But who? What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, Sunshine? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. So, does he still have the disc? Be quiet, all of you. Who's saying it? Is it Iris? Bruno's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words. You what? Now, don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment. There's only one person who it can be. Counsel, of whom do you request this search now? So let's try Nash. Because it also could be Van Zeek's. Like, I don't know that they interacted directly, but maybe there was a moment. That would be, if it's not Nash, Van Zeek's would be my next guess. But he also, I feel like, would have been more upright and forthcoming about it. Let's try this. Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Well, I never. Blimey, me? Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects. Please, my lord. Oh, we got it right. Inspector. Scotland Yard, has to object to this search. Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. Eh? In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Zeeks! I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. Thanks. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Ugh. Bailiff, carry out to the search. And the look on his face, he's like, was it me? Now, hold on a mo. I know nothing about no disc. Look at that sweat gleaming down. Cut it out. Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. Oh man, Gregson. Everyone on that stand is guilty of something. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Ugh. Ugh. 4 guilty criminals, basically. Order! 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 Mr. Skulkin, what do you have to say for yourself? Gordon Bennett, just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc, honest. Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no? Without question, my lord. Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point of this trial, oh, that's right, he was choking him. I forgot about that. He exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. If I'd remembered that, that probably would have helped us out a bit more. I don't recall. What unusual behavior? It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit to nothing of the sort. Yeah, he was, like, shaking him violently. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, he did, and I thought me noggin was gonna clean fall off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother, I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me, whistle like that, and started shaking me. I don't think that's true. Why the blazes did you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear hole, he did. Me head still throbbing now. Oh, because he couldn't give him a better story. That makes sense. The way the detective behaved was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Okay, now I understand. Well, bless my wig, he hid it. But I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush? A top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So realizing there was a chance you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. Does this mean? He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him, to slip the second disc into his pocket. So it was all a pretense? They are not happy. Well, now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit the accusations made against you of this alleged deal? Well, admit to it, yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon. Clearly, our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there is no proof that I passed the disc to the inspector. But then, how do you explain the reason you knew about the peephole? I am under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder? Leaking government secrets? Striking a deal with the detective. All of this is the young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of that is about. You... What? Are we really going to be back to square one after all we've been through? Are you kidding me? Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interests of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well, now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idols. Stop. Detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this I cannot say. I don't believe it. These 6 jurors they're going to believe Gregson if they declare their decision now. Is Ginny going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Well then, counsel, I think it's time I imposed on the jurors to declare their final decisions, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court. If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty. So there's no choice then, Runo. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Well, we are going to pause it right there because the conclusion to this case, man, it's epic and you don't want to miss a moment. But until then, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. And if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/Liara27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games I'm playing each day, I post them on x.com/Liara27. And I hope you join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye.